Uh, Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's webinar. My name is Anders Odevik, and I work here at Support in Stockholm, Sweden. Um, First of all, I want to tell you all that are watching that it's possible to change the quality of the video by clicking uh, at the bottom right in the live stream paler. You should be able to select the quality. I recommend to choose high, of course. Anyway, this week I will walk you through the MagPlus basics. Basically, I want you guys to get started creating your app. And what we'll learn today is first we'll start off with the MagPlus process, then we'll create a vertical in InDesign. And after that, we'll export the vertical to the MagPlus production tool, and then in the end, we will create what we refer to as a MIB file. This is the MagPlus process. First, you will start up by downloading our free tools at magplus.com. After installation, you will have installed the MagPlus InDesign plugin and the MagPlus production tool 1 and 3. You will also install the MagPlus Reviewer, which you can download to your tablet using either from App Store, Google Play, or Amazon. And in the end, you will gain access to our publish site. This is where you build your app, and this is where you get your app and you can submit it to the iTunes App Store, Google Play, and soon to come Amazon App Store. As I said, with the InDesign plugin, this is where you create all your verticals. And just to make it clear, this is what we mean when we talk about verticals. One InDesign document represents one vertical. This means that you will have one InDesign document for each vertical. So in the end, you will have something looking like this. And as you saw in this page before, that each page that you add in the InDesign document will actually extend the height of the vertical, making it longer. And in the end, you will have something looking like this, where you have a vertical 1, which is document 1, with 2 pages, vertical 2, document 2, with 3 pages, and so on. You can change however you want. And these, while you're doing this, you're able to instantly review what you're doing on your MagPlus Reviewer from the MagPlus plugin, and you can see exactly what you're doing in real time. And when you're happy with your vertical that you have done in InDesign, you will export it to the production tool. It's in production tool where you lay out your verticals next to each other. You will have something looking like this in the production tool. In the end, when you're happy with your vertical, you can always go back in the production tool and make changes in InDesign, and then update it in production tool, and then review your whole issue in the MagPlus Review app on your tablet. And in the end, when you're happy with your issue, you will be able to create what we call a MIB file. This MIB file contains all your verticals, basically your whole issue. And when I say MIB file, I refer to what we say is a magazine issue bundle. This MIB file can then be sent to your clients or coworkers, and they will be able to review it instantly on their iPad, Kindle Fire, or Android tablet using the MyPlus Review app. And you can always go back in InDesign and make the changes they ask for, and then send them an updated MIB. And when you're happy with your MIB, you can sign up for one of the MagPlus price plans. This allows you to build your own app that you can distribute through App Store, Google Play, and soon to come Amazon for Kindle Fire. There are 2 kinds of apps that you can build with MagPlus. First, we have the Go option, MagPlus Go, which is an app that only contains one issue, which means like one MIB file, sort of like a book. And the second option we have is the Grow option, This means that you can publish as many MIB files as you wish. And examples of a Grow app would be Popular Science, Pop Photo, Outside. These apps contain several issues that are published each month. And the MyPlus Go options goes for $199, and the MyPlus Grow app goes for $2,500. So, next, we're going to go through how to create your first vertical in InDesign. And for you guys who just joined in, I just want to say again that you can change the quality of the video in the bottom right in the live stream paler. I recommend to choose high so you can get the best resolution possible. As I was saying before, one vertical represents one InDesign document. So what we'll do here is that we'll go in here, and after you install the MyPlus plugin, you will have MyPlus here, and you will be able to find MyPlus folder under your applications folder. And then you will have MyPlus Templates in here, and also a MyPlus Retina. And MyPlus Templates, and you can select what template you want to use. I'll go and use the MyPlus template for iPad. And I'll simply double click. You have other templates here as well, Help template, MyPlus template, and TOC template. I'll use the MyPlus template here. So we double click that. You always start a brand new project using this template. Just zoom out and see what we have here. So this is the MyPlus template. As you can see, it's very long, and this is used for the scrollable layer, which I'm going to go through soon. But first, I want to make sure that the iPad and the computer are connected to each other. So what I'll do is that I'll start the InDesign plugin by clicking on MyPlus in my Windows palette here, and here you can see that it's already started. And here you'll see that if I click Settings here in MyPlus, if it isn't started, just click on here at the bottom, and you can click Settings. And here you will be able to choose which device you want to push to. And how to get this push address, I'll just click a plus sign here next to it to add one, enter iPad push address. Here you have a host and a port. And to find this address, you need to start the MyPlus Review app on your iPad, like this, and then you log in under User Settings, using your MyPlus credentials, which are the ones you use when you signed up for our tools. And when logged in, you will be able to find your IP address here in the Help section here. As I am sitting with the iOS simulator, I'm not getting this IP address, unfortunately, but I promise you it will show up here. It starts off with an IP and then colon 50,000, which is your port, sorry. So in order for just enter that IP address here, in your case it's probably something like 192.168.1 something. But in my case I'm going to use the loopback IP because it's the IP for the computer. So in order to connect with my simulator here. And once I've done this, I can go back and click the vertical tab again. And then just to make sure that the iPad and InDesign are connected to each other, I'll just click a fast review here down at the bottom. Oh, I have to save the document. Because it's a template, I need to save each document that I'm starting so I don't overwrite the template I'm using. So what I do, I'll just click fast review here. And it went very fast because I don't have anything. And as you can see, I'm getting this white background because I have nothing placed on the iPad. And just to remind you guys, in order to bring up the scrubber, just click once and tap once. And you can also do a long tap in order to bring up the scrubber in the top bar menu. So now we have connected the computer to the iPad. which means that we can get starting off with our first vertical. I've actually going to close this one, and I've prepared a vertical here with different assets on the page. First, I want to show you the layers palette. This is very important. MyPlus layouts are all about the layers that we use. And as you can see here, we have several layers, and you cannot, please don't delete any of these because otherwise it won't work as it should. But as you can see here, we have three main layers, as we would call it, and we have a pop-up layer for each of these three layers. So we have a B-Slides main content layer with a BP pop-up layer to it. We also have a B-Slides pin blocks layer and a B pop-up pin blocks layer. And then we have a main tower layer and a pop-up main tower, a pop-up layer for that A layer. So basically I have three layers. And then we have some guides here. These are the guides for the iPad when it's located in landscape and in portrait. So you can see what you get when you have the iPad in landscape and in portrait. And I also have a clickable areas layers here, so you can see, which you probably don't have on your in your template yet, but you're going to get it soon, so don't worry about that. I'm going to tell you how it works later. So we start off by using the B-Slides main content layer. This is the main background layer, as we like to call it. This is where you place your main background that you want to be static in the background. And how it works, when I say that it's static, this means that it won't move when the iPad is rotated. It's just the same area that is going to be shown. This area will always be seen by the user. But if the iPad is held in portrait, this area will be shown as well. And if it's shown in landscape, these areas on the side here will be shown instead. So what I'll do just to illustrate to you this layer is that I'll do a fast review. Here. So you can see it's loading a bit. There we go. Here we have the main background layer now. And as you can see, when I rotate it, it actually shows different parts of the image. As you can see, these parts disappear and the image doesn't move with it. So that's the B-Slides main content layer. I'm just going to check my settings here. And then we have the next layer, which is the B-Slides pin blocks layer. This layer is used for objects that you want in the background, but you want them to move with the iPad when it's rotated. So first off, I'll just set it to the normal settings here. And first, I'll just do a fast review to show you guys how it works. And here, if I rotate the iPad now, you'll see that it just stays in the same position all the time. But let's say I want the heading here to move down when I rotate the iPad to be in view. It's very easy to do this because I am on the pin blocks layer. And when we say pinning, we say that we pin objects to the side of the iPad, top or side of the iPad. So if I select the object here, and it's based on when the iPad is held in portrait. So if I select the object here, the heading, which is basically just a text block and a stroke grouped together. I want them to go the same way all the time. So I'll select it, and then in the plugin, I will be able to select pinning here. I'll start off by selecting the vertical pinning, and then I'll select top. This means that the heading here, the object here, will keep the distance to the top, the same distance to the top, both in portrait and in landscape. So let's do a check here and see what we get. It's loading. So here we have the iPad in portrait. And as you can see, it has a distance here, but when I rotate it and put it in landscape, you can see that it moved down to keep the same distance in landscape as well. This looks pretty good, but I can also make the heading follow the left side, so it moves out to the left here when it's rotated, so it sticks to the left side. I can do this by simply selecting horizontal pinning, left, and I can also select right if I want it to stick to the right corner, but I want it to stick to the left side of the iPad. This distance is going to be kept now. So here we have the iPad held in portrait, and if I rotate it, you will see how it moves down to keep the same distance here on the left side as it does in portrait. That's basically what pinning is all about. That it's very easy to use. You can always move around, and you can change here under settings. Here you can be able to set the calculate default pinning. I've unchecked this box because I want to set the pinning myself, but if you check that box, the plugin itself will go in and make the selection for the pinning as you place the objects, and you're of course able to change it later on. But some people like to use that as well. And the last layer, the last main layer that we're going to use is the A main tower layer. The last layer we used was the B slides pin blocks layer. I'm going to show you the pop-ups layer later, but for this we're only going to use the B slides pin layer. The main layers, 3 main layers. And now I'm using the A layer. I have an object here that I grouped together. I prepared it because I wanted it to not take too much time. But here we go. Here I got my object, and as you can see, it's much longer than what's actually shown in the iPad. But this is because this object located on this layer is actually going to be scrollable. So the user is going to be able to scroll this layer upwards. So if I place my object here, I'll select pinning none, and then I'll do a fast review and you will see what we get here. And here, when I rotate the iPad, you'll see here, and here you can see how the layer is actually acting. You can scroll it upwards, and that's not the only special thing about this layer, is that it's also possible to disable the layer by double tapping, like that. This is a very good use. You can use it also, you can select that it's always going to be displayable, it's always going to be displayed, I mean. This means that the user is not able to disable the A layer by double tapping. As you can see how I'm double tapping here, but nothing happens. I'm going to go with a regular A layer that is possible to disable. And I'm also able to choose that I'm not going to use any A layer at all on the vertical. And I can also choose to only use the B layer, only use the A layer by selecting no B layer here. So that's my first page in my vertical. Let's go on and create our second page in the vertical. So I want to extend the vertical, make it longer, because right now it looks like this. I'm scrolling upwards, and there it doesn't get any further. So what I want to do is that when I get here, I want the background image to switch, and I want the A layer to continue with more text. So I'll just create a second page here, and I've actually prepared as well here some images and assets here. I'm going to move them down. First off, I'll place a background on my main background layer, like this. And then I'll do a fast review and see how this will work. So now I've only placed a background image on the second page of the vertical. This means that as I scroll down this vertical, it will actually, when this object on the A layer on the first page passes the center of the iPad, it will actually switch over to the next page. in the document, showing the second background. And when I go back, it will go back up. And here I can also place an A layer, because I said I want the text to continue. So what I'll do is that I'll place the A layer here, and I'll place it at the very top of the page here. This means that this object is going to continue exactly where the A layer stopped from the first page. So I'll do a fast review here. It's now placed, this object is now placed on the A main tower layer. This is where I place all my scrollable content. And as you can see, when I scroll upwards here, you can see that the content from the first page, from the second page, is actually pasted together with the A layer from the first page. It's not very good done here, but at least you get the point. And as you can see, when I go past the center of the iPad, it is basically switching over to the second background. But let's say I don't want the iPad, I don't want the text to show like this. I want it to, when I reach this page on, here you go, when I reach the page on the vertical, I want it to show exactly like this. This is when you start to use something we call snapping on the A layer. And snapping is basically used for you to have the page showing up exactly as you want it when the user reaches it. So what I'll do is that I'll create a transparent box here at the very top of the page, and I'll group this transparent box with the text on the A layer here. And then here in the settings for the object, I will be able to use snap. We have outer top snapping, inner top snapping, and top snapping. Outer top snapping refers to when the iPad is held in portrait. And this means that if I select outer top, and we can do that just by doing a fast review. I have selected outer top here, grouped it together with my text. And as we scroll down here, you will see how it actually acts. You can see that when I reach the second page, when this goes past the center, we'll switch over to the second page and throw away the content from the first page. Showing this will be shown exactly the same way. And I'm able to keep scrolling like this. And when I say that it's snapping to outer top, this means that it's snapping to the iPad when it's held in portrait. And it won't move down when I rotate the iPad. And I can also select it to snap to the active top. I'll select snap top here. This means that it will actually move down when the iPad is rotated, because it will snap to the active top, like this. I'll go to the second page here, and then I'll rotate the iPad, and as you can see, it actually keeps this distance to the top. And goes down, sort of like pinning, in a way, for the A layer then. But I want this one to use outer top. Inner top refers to when the iPad is held in landscape, and it will always snap to the inner top, which means when the iPad is held in landscape. So let's say I'm happy with this vertical now. So what I need to do then is export it to the production tool in order to lay out this vertical next to other verticals. So what I'll do first is that here in the plugin, I'll select issue, and I'll select the folder here. And this is where I select where I want to export my vertical. So here I've created a folder called magazine name. The name of your magazine. And then inside that folder, I created an issue folder, a first issue, issue 01. And I've selected this folder to export to for this issue. I'm going to export all verticals that I have for this issue to the same folder here, issue 01. When I've done that, I need to look over my ID. This is the vertical ID here in the plugin. This is how the system keeps tracks on what vertical you're actually exporting to the production tool. And if you have two verticals with the same ID, the verticals will be replacing each other all the time. So make sure that the vertical you're using for this vertical is unique. And you also have shown, oh, by the way, this vertical ID is not shown anywhere except for you. This name is shown for users reading your magazine. So here I have the name, and just going to show you where the name is shown. Where the name is shown. Here under presentation in the scrubber, you can see that the name is shown here in the scrubber, and you can also see that if I create a bookmark here, I'm actually able to see, there I see the name for the vertical as well. Let's see here. So that's where the name is used, basically. And when I've done all these settings, I'll export the vertical to the production tool that I chose. So I'll click export, and now you see that it will start to pack all the images, and basically it will start Photoshop to downsize the images and resize the images to the correct size in order to fit the iPad. Meanwhile we're doing this, I'm going to go here. Oh, it's a lot of things going on here with Photoshop. So this is my my production tool. As you see, I started. If you haven't installed it, you should be able to find it here under Applications, MyPlus, and here you can find the installation file for the MyPlus production tool. But I have already installed it, so I can find it here. First, we need to create a brand for this issue and for your magazine. You only create one brand for each magazine. And this is used to identify your MIB later on in your publish system. You can only create one brand for one magazine. And this is basically used by our publish systems to keep track of your publication later on if you decide to publish it and make it a live app. But it will start off by clicking New, and I'll enter a brand ID, com.magplus.demo, and then I'll enter a brand description, which is basically for you to find it. Anders MagPlus Demo, I'll call this one. And I'll also select a default MIB version here. And this is very, here you go. I get selecting the 3.2 MIB version. The 3.2 MIB version refers to the latest MIB version that we're using, which is basically that these MIBs can be used in the latest apps build. We have several old versions here, but we always recommend to use the latest MIB version possible, and always update your build your app in the latest version. So I'll do a save here. And when I save this, it's very important that I save it in the magazine folder that I created here. So I'll save it in this folder. Save. I'll replace an old one that was located there. And I go and close this brand settings editor. And then I'll simply select it. And then I'll go here. I need to connect production tool to the issue folder that I selected in InDesign. This means that I have to go to the same folder that I selected to export to in InDesign. as I've already done here, but I'm just going to show you a lot clearer what I mean. So I'll go back here. Here I have the magazine folder. Here I have the issue folder. I select this issue folder that I selected in InDesign as well. Select. And as you can see here, my vertical shows up here. I can drag it into the clipboard. Also have my brand here. I can select it from the drop down menu. And here I have the issue ID. The issue ID is basically the ID for your issue. I'll call this issue 01 because this is my first issue. Save. And then I'll save the position of this vertical, and as you can see, it has the whole vertical here. Before I go further and go in more in detail with the production tool, I want to export another vertical here, just to so we have something to play around with. So what I'll do is that I'll have a second document started here. And now I'll show you how to create a regular web link and also how to add a video, and in the end show you how to add a pop-up. So basically I've prepared here. This is basically placed on the B pin blocks layer, this object here. And what I want to do first is that I want to create a link here for this object. I want, when the user taps this image of this woman here, I want it to open magplus.com maybe in an embedded browser, for example. So what I'll do, that I've already grouped this whole object together as I want it to be one single object. So I'll select this object here, placed on the B slice pin blocks layer, and then I'll simply click link in the plugin. And as you can see, it automatically created a new layer here in my layers palette called clickable areas. And as you can see, I'm able to downsize this object here that was created on this layer. This is basically the hotspot for your link. This means that if the user taps this area here, he or she will activate the link. And I've decided that I want this clickable area only to cover this photo of this woman. So I'll go here, I'll select the clickable hotspot area here. And as you can see, the object type is already set to hotspot. And the hotspot type is already set to link, which is a web link. And here you can see that it refers to an object ID, B4796. This object ID is the ID of this object that I selected first when I created a link. This means that this clickable area here is connected to this object. So if you ever have problems with your clickable areas not working, take a look at your object ID, referencing object ID, and make sure that it actually still exists, because it loses its object IDs if it's grouped together with other objects, for example. But in this case, we have B4796, and this object is the B4796. So this clickable area will follow this object. And I've selected the link to show in embedded. I can also make it show in external. This means that it will open up Safari automatically. But for this one, I wanted to show in an embedded pop-up browser. I'll enter an address here. MyPlus.com, HTTP. It's really important to remember the HTTP. And also here I can select if I want to show an external icon or not. For this case, I want to show an external icon, which means that the user will be able, from the pop-up window, to actually open it up in Safari. So let's do a fast review here of what we got. We have this page here, and if I click this link here, you can see that I activated a link. And as you can see, it's the MyPlus web page. And here I'm able to, if I click that, I'm able to open up in a web browser if I want to. So that's, oh, sorry, I accidentally did that. I'm going to start up my MyPlus review again. Sorry. There you go. Change the size. There we go. So here's my, that's how you do a link. It's very easy, as you can see, and you can always decide where you want the clickable area to be. For example, I want this to be placed on the D, cover the D instead, and not when I click the photo of the lady. So nothing happens. I just bring up the menu. And here I'm able to open up the menu when I click there instead. So that's how you create a link. I'm gonna use this same layout to show you how to put in a movie as well. So I'll delete the clickable area that I had, and I'll also delete the object ID that I have here for this object, just so we start off from the beginning. So basically, I want the user to tap this area and start off a video playing right here. So what I'll do is I select this object again, and I'll select movie instead of link. If you can't see these objects, these buttons down here, make sure that you have extended the height of the plugin as long as you can. And here, if I click movie, you will see that I actually created a new layer here called the media areas layer. And here you can see that I have a gray object here, a green object here placed on this layer. This is basically the media layer where the media is going to be played. So I can resize this one like this maybe. I want it to show up right here. And behind it, you can see that I also have a clickable area as well for this object. This is the area that the user needs to tap in order to activate the video. So I'll select the clickable area to cover this object here. This is a photo. And when this clickable area is tapped, it will activate this video here. So I'll go here and select the media area. And here I select content type. I want it, you can choose to be an inline movie, a pop-up movie, or full screen movie. I want this one to be an inline movie. Select source type, and I also go into file. And here I have video that I prepared. So, and as you can see here, before we review this, I can also make it auto start in view or on load. So when the user reaches the page, it would basically start playing this vertical. And I've selected the media to hide in the end. And let's do a review so you can see here. As I said, when I click this photo here, it will start playing this video here. We're getting a little rainbow wheel here. There. So here I have my layout, and if I tap this, it will eventually start playing a video. As you can see here. And that's basically how you put in a video. You can also choose to have it play as a full screen movie, and it will cover the whole screen, or in a pop-up. It's very easy to put in a movie, and I recommend it always to make it the correct size. If you go to our support site at support.magplus.com, you will be able to find, if you search for best size of video, you will be able to find a tutorial to make the video the correct size for the iPad. Because the plugin is not able to go in and resize the video to the correct perfect size. And we don't want the MIB to be too big in the end. So the next example that I'm going to show you is how to create a pop-up. I'm going to use this same layout as well. It's because it's so easy to show on. So I'll remove the media area here that I created, and also the clickable area that I created here. And start off from the beginning, removing the object ID. You don't have to do that, but I just want it to be clean when I start. So what I'll do, when I do a pop-up, it's basically now it's time to start using these pop-up layers that I've been talking about before. So first, I decide what image I want to show as my pop-up. So what I'll do is that I'll create my pop-up image. I think I want the user to tap this image and then show a bigger version of it here. So place this on this layer like this. I'll make it a bit bigger, something like that. So this means that when the user is clicking this area, it's going to show this pop-up. But first I need to set this image as a pop-up. So let's see here. I select the object that I placed on the BP pop-up layer. If I would make a pop-up for the A layer, I would place it on the A pop-up layer here. But in this case, I want it to be shown on the B layer. So I'll select here, and here next to object type, I'm able to change the object type to pop-up instead. And first off, I need to make an object ID for this pop-up. I'll call this pop-up maybe lady for this one. And this is very important to remember this object ID, because this will bring up this photo of this lady, and you need to connect it to the clickable area later on. And as you can see here, we also have some selections that you can make for the pop-up type. I'm going to go with standard for now, but I'm going to show you what modal means as well, and center, and all of these things. So now we have our pop-up image ready. But first we need to make an area and hotspot for the user to tap in order to activate this pop-up. So what we'll do is that we'll select this. I'll hide this pop-up layer for now. And then I'll select this pop-up, this object here with that is grouped together with this photo, the small thumbnail. And I click link. And next here, I've got the object type hotspot. As you can see, as last time, I'm getting a clickable area that I'm able to downsize to the size I wish. And it follows this layer here, this object here. It's referencing to it. And next to hotspot type, I'm able to actually create a hotspot type for pop-up. So I'll do that. And now, here in the URL window, I'll enter popup :/ and then link to the object, which I named lady. This means now that if the user taps this image here, it will automatically link to a pop-up called lady. And this is the pop-up that I've named lady in the object ID. So let's do a fast review and see what we get. And as you can see, when I tap this photo here in the bottom, I'll getting a pop-up exactly where I put it. And it's also, this doesn't look very good because it looks kind of doesn't match with background and so forth. And another thing is that, as you can see, that I need to click the same area in order to deactivate the pop-up. So remember that when you design the pop-up. And as I said before, we have other pop-ups types, or one other pop-up type, which we call modal. So I'll just do a simple fast review. Select modal for this pop-up, and then do a fast review. It's easier to show you guys what it means than talking about it. So this is what happens now. The background actually fades out when the pop-up is brought up. Looks very good. And the user can tap anywhere on the screen to bring down the pop-up again. And we also have the possibility to center the pop-up on the device all the time. So even though it's placed here in the very center, not in the center, it will actually be shown a little bit in the center of the iPad instead. And you can also add a close box. Added a close box for the pop-up here. And as you can see, so that's how modal pop-ups work. And also before we end this pop-up session, we have another choice which is called initially visible, which basically is mainly used for captions, I would say. This makes the pop-up visible when you enter the page. I'm just going to show you what I mean. So this means that when this is loaded here now, you will see that it's shown initially, the pop-up. So this is very good to use for captions for images instead of this. This is not a very good example, but you can tap the area and it will hide. So you only need to tap once. But I want this to be a modal pop-up centered on device for this one. The next thing we'll do, I think we're done with this vertical. I think I'm happy with it. And so we can actually export it to the production tool. So what I'll do, I'll go to my folder here in issue in the plugin. I'll select folder, and then I'll go here and select the exact same issue folder that I selected to export my last vertical to. Issue 01 here. Choose it here, and I'll simply, when I've done here, I'm checking the ID here, which I named pop-up example. So we want to replace any other verticals in my issue, and I've named it pop-up example. So that's what's shown in the bookmarks as well. So what I'll do is that I'll simply select export. And one thing that I forgot to mention when I started this was the device here that you can see in the plugin. We can talk about this while the computer is loading. And as you can see, Photoshop is running in the background. And here in the device, you're able to choose Apple iPad Retina, and Kindle Fire. And if you're creating for a regular Apple iPad 1 or 2, you're supposed to select Apple iPad, and this is also for Android as well. If you're creating for the new Apple 3, the Apple iPad Retina, you select device Apple iPad Retina. And you can also select to create for Kindle Fire. So when you create your MIB file, you're basically having two different issue folders, one for the Apple iPad and one for the Apple iPad Retina that you're going to export exactly the same things for. And it's not possible to have an Apple iPad Retina MIB or vertical showing up on an iPad 1 or 2 because it just can't handle the resolution. But I've selected here Apple iPad and I exported it. So if I go to my production tool, oh, that was the simulator. Here you go. And as you remember, I linked it to the same issue folder. It's still the same issue folder. I'll simply do a refresh here. And as you can see, my second vertical showed up here. And I'm able to drag it out here into place. And here you can see that it's actually just a screenshot from InDesign, just for you to know what vertical it is. And now we can show you how to actually review your MIB file, your issue file, both your verticals together here in the production tool. So here you have review all and review selected. If you can select to review one vertical, I'll simply just, I want to review this one. And as you can see, it showed up on the iPad alone. And I can also select to review all verticals in this issue. So I'll simply create review all. As you can see, it's updating in the background. And I'm able to scroll now horizontally. So that's how people have been asking, how do you enable horizontal scroll? And this is where you do it in the production tool. This is where you lay out your verticals next to each other, enabling horizontal scroll. So in InDesign, you create the verticals, which allows you to scroll vertically. And in the production tool, you put the verticals next to each other, allowing them to scroll sideways. And you can also here, we have a new setting here in the production tool that, as I said before, you can bring up the menu by doing a short tap and a long tap. Some people wanted it to only have the long press for menu, so we added that here. So if you select long press for menu here, you can see that I've actually disabled short tap in order to bring up the menu. So you have to do a long tap in order to bring up the menu. So when you're happy with your vertical, you can always go back and make changes, updating the InDesign, and just export it, re-export it, and just simply click refresh, and it will refresh instantly here. And when you're happy with your vertical, you will be able to create a MIB. So I'll simply click here, create MIB in the production tool. And if you're having problems connecting as reviewing from the production tool, have a look in your preferences. Usually, the production tool should grab the information that you entered in the plugin and put it here in the production tool for the MIB push address. But if it hasn't done that, you will be able to add your iPad push address here. Just add it here, and you will be able to push to your iPad. And as you see, I created a MIB by clicking Create MIB. And we'll go here. And it will end up in the same folder in my issue folder. As you can see here, my MIB is right here with the name, with the brand name and ID and the issue ID. And this can be used, this MIB file can be used for you to review, for others to review what you have done. You can basically send this to clients and coworkers, and they will be able to show it on their device using the MyPlus Reviewer. All they have to do is log in, and then they start their web browser like this, and then they will enter the host address that they found in the reviewer here. Oh, I activated long press here under help, which I can't show you now because I'm using the simulator, but anyway, it will show here, and they type it in exactly as they see it here. So what I have is 127.0.0.1:50,000. And if I enter this now, I'm reaching the MagPlus file upload service. And this is basically my connection from the web browser to this simulator. And if I choose file here, go in here, I'm already done issue 1. I go here to my MIB file and I double click that and click submit. You see it sent it directly to my iPad to review it. So this is very easy, and they can have you make the changes and go back in the InDesign document. You can update your files and then create a new MIB and send it to them with the new updates. And you will have a second MIB here in the list. Thank you all for watching. I think this is all I have for now. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you all will be able to maybe. I've heard that some of you are signed up for the Magnify contest, and the last submission date for that is May 31st, I believe. And I hope all of you will have a great time playing around with MagPlus. And if you have any questions, let us know in the forum, which is support.magplus.com, which is a very good place for you to find information about MagPlus. And here you can search for example, best size of video. And here you can see that it actually takes a while. Here I have an article for best size of video, and you can also have questions in the forum if you want to. And stay tuned because we might have some upcoming webinars and answering some of your questions in the future, if you have any. And yeah, that's all. Thanks, and it's a good evening here from Stockholm, Sweden.